If your day-to-day has ever left you wondering, is this as good as it gets? You'll be happy to hear that my next guest says no. Dr. Matt Townsend says when the status quo creeps in, it's possibly motivating you to go deeper and search for a more fulfilling kind of love. The ability to love more deeply, is that in us, Matt, or is it something that we need to learn to find?
It's actually, I think it's deeply in us, but we keep defaulting back to these myths that love is love at first sight, that it's natural, that love should be easy. We have all these myths in our head about what love is, and that it's chemical and it's emotional, but really what it might be more is something that we grow into as we learn other skills that we don't always equate to love, like service, sacrifice, sharing, selfless.
So it starts
character.
Rather surface, and then we learn as we go to dive deeper.
If you want deeper and deeper love, the deeper love comes from you working more, not just feeling more.
I know you help couples who are in crisis, right? They are struggling and trying to grapple with the fact of should we be together, should we not? Do you also though hear from couples who say, I love him, I love her,
oh yeah,
but it just feels kind of
and I just want something else. They always kind of have this illusion of what I call the greener pasture, something else they want, something else they think is better. And so with this date night, what we're trying to do is figure out a way to inform everyone and teach everyone how to actually start growing the deeper love, because a lot of the things, they're not what you want to do. You know, what you want to do is be affectionate and watch a movie and hang out together, but what you might need to do is actually share your heart, or be vulnerable, or sacrifice, or serve when you don't want to.
It's the real work.
It's the real work. And that's why it's so natural to love our children. We think it's a blood thing, but a lot of it is just simply because you do things as parents you don't do for anyone else. But if we would start like caring more like a parent in a way, it would change the form of love we have in our relationship.
So this is, we've been waiting, the topic for your upcoming date night. You've got a little preview for us today, and it starts with, like you said, opening up that vulnerability and specifically sharing secrets with your partner.
Okay, it's such a crazy thing. A lot of us have these secrets that we keep. They're not like horrible bad things, but we don't want to tell our partner where we're most vulnerable, or where we've been most embarrassed, or where I feel most insecure. So I keep those as secrets, and then I go silent on them, and my partner never learns what those are, and those secrets make it so I kind of hold some shame. But what if in our marriage we could start to share where we're vulnerable, share where I was embarrassed, share where I felt alone, not even today presently, but where I felt it as a kid, where I felt it when I was a teenager.
What's a secret that you have seen a couple share one with the other that has really benefited their relationship and turned it around? You know what,
one of the wildest and saddest in a way was abuse. A male admitting to his wife that he had been sexually abused as a child. And it was so vulnerable. He had been hiding it for years, and it had basically helped her make sense about why he was acting a certain way and why intimacy was so important to him. But when he was so vulnerable and he could just cry, and she honored it and just held it, then all of a sudden you could see it leaving him, and it was no longer going to control him.
Wow, wow.
It's powerful.
Moms are great about being in control, being in charge. In fact, that's a good quality for a mom to have, but you say that can sometimes get in the way of the marriage relationship.
Yeah, what if all of a sudden you could actually learn to release some of the control and not try to control the end, but instead enjoy floating through the moment and allow the moment to kind of go where it needs to go, instead of knowing where we are, knowing what we need, and then constantly moving everyone to that end. I just call it flow. And you see it like a lot of times we just don't know how to even relax. At church, we don't even know how to relax in a lesson, to just let the lesson go where it needs to go. We're always trying to just force it to, now I will read a quote, and we pull the quote out. This is the quote. And then what if we could just relax?
Our whole life is an agenda,
isn't it? It's totally an agenda. And by the way, that's us trying to do whatever we can to think we have control. But the reality is, we don't. Okay, we're one disaster away from recognizing, I got nothing I can do here, but
Mark's a lot better at that than I am, I have to say.
A lot of men seem to be.
Yeah.
And part of it is just, I think it just might be we may not feel it as acutely.
You want us to see the good in our spouse. Don't we do that? Isn't that why we married him?
Well, you'd think so, except you also notice all of his flaws. And you can name them. He can't even name them, but you know all of his flaws. So one of the keys to this is, how do you see your partner? Do you see them as changeable, growing beings, or do you see them as fixed, hard-headed pain in the necks? because however you see them is actually the data you go looking for. We think we go looking for neutral information on our partner. We don't. We already have a case, and now we're looking to convict. So we find the data that convicts of whatever we see.
So we've written the end before it's even resolved.
So what might be better is we identify how I want to see you, and then start looking for the data every day that supports how I want to see you. And you'll see it. You'll find it. It's always there. We only collect the data that supports our story.
That's fascinating.
Positive or negative.
And that speaks to all levels of humanity and relationships.
No, that's everywhere.
We know communication is important, and listening is one of the fundamental,
it's the big one.
bases of communication. How can we strengthen those listening skills?
The irony of listening, most of us really aren't very good at it. We are really good at speaking. Not always coherently, but we can speak a ton. But listening demands that you turn off the internal dialogue. You turn off your need to control it. It's amazing what people actually say. That I have a class where we sit there and I just have 8 couples in the class talking, practicing talking, and I just walk around the room and I'll sit there and they've been fighting, and then I'll have them start talking, and literally all of the time I will find that they both agree, but they've been arguing. So when we get into it, I'm like, well, don't you agree with what she's saying there? Oh, well, yeah, but, well, okay.
But we're talking.
And nobody's listening to actually what she's saying. And instead, when I hear something, I get in my head and I turn it into something else and kind of go down that road emotionally instead of actually just hearing what they said. And we're not very good, too, at helping others hear what they're saying. Is this what you mean to say? Are you meaning to call me this? Tell me why you're saying this. You must have something going on. Tell me more about it.
So is that a key, asking questions? I think it's one thing to say just listen, right? We all want to be better listeners, but asking questions is one way to do that.
A little bit, but some of it is just simply don't assume you know. So, oh, my mom is so difficult. Somebody might say that. Don't assume you know what that means. Instead say, what do you mean by that? And get them to tell you more. And what's amazing is as they tell you more, their difficult may not mean what your difficult means. And as they're talking, you're going to see their emotion either come out but start to dissipate, and you'll get a lot more information out of them.
I always like to ask you, how do we know if we're doing well? So how in my relationship, as I look at my partner, do I know that I might be doing an okay job at listening?
Yeah, well, one way is because they're talking. So the more they're communicating with you is a great sign that you're probably a good listener.
If they're opening up and they're sharing.
And if you also see them being more real and more intimate from it, if they're doing that, it's a great sign. If you're not getting any feedback or playback from them, it might be a sign that they don't think they can trust you listening.
You want us to stand up for ourselves, not completely lose ourselves in the conversation, though. What's the balance there?
Well, a lot of people sit there and in marriage, they think, well, yeah, if I'm nice in all of this, he's just going to roll right over me and just totally take advantage of me. Well, great, then stick up for yourself. You don't have to be rolled over. You can have a standard, and you can say, no, we don't do that. I'm not doing that. You can say it, and you can still be a loving, amazing human. Don't think that you're either good or bad. Taking a stand isn't good or bad. Taking a stand is just what is, and you can still be amazing and wonderful and attentive and listening and caring and everything in the conversation. We think feedback that's negative or being strong is automatically strong. But sometimes you can be strong and be a big jerk. And sometimes you can be strong and be incredibly empathic and caring. And what I want people to learn to do is you can do both. Don't think it's an either or. And don't think that by being nice means he'll walk all over you. Because if you're strong, he can't walk all over you. So take a stand. Do not allow bad habits in the marriage that shouldn't be there. And especially don't allow them and pretend to call it noble or healthy. If you're getting steamrolled regularly, and don't think it's just because of him. We live in a system, and if I keep getting run over emotionally by somebody, it's probably because I'm too afraid to say something, so I need to get the help to be able to say it.
Guess
that
what?
makes sense.
I love this topic.
Cool, huh?
I love this topic.
It's going to be a great date night.
A small taste of what you will see. Give us the details.
Yeah. By the way, we have like 200 tickets left.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. It's the fastest we've ever sold out.
Those went crazy
fast. And so it's February 10th. Saturday night at 7 p.m. Murray High. If you go to matttownsend.com, just go hit the date nights button. There's a Studio 5 discount. Boom, we give you the discount, and you're in. And it'll be the best night of your life, and you might even get kissed. Not by me. You won't get kissed by me.
You might even get a smooch at the end of it.
By the person that brings you.
If you play your cards right, and my seats are on hold, right?
Oh, yeah, always.
Talk to your people.
Hello.
Okay, front row,
I've got a whole couch for you.
Thanks so much.